All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Closing Chamber. Today I have a very special guest, a really good friend of mine, like an advisor. He's my insurance agent. It's Marvin Manns. How are you, Marvin?
Hey, good morning, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, man, I just want to get into it, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? And,
Yeah, so Marvin Manns, I own a insurance company.
Mhm.
I represent State Farm.
Yep.
So service all of Oklahoma and Texas, and I got three other businesses that I do. Real estate's one.
Yep.
I've got a cattle ranch that I do, and then I've got another staffing agency where we specialize in staffing. So
I didn't know you had a staffing agency.
Yeah, I've got that. Got my hands on a little bit of everything. I try to anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, multiple streams, right?
Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So, Marvin, whenever, a lot of people that are listening, they don't know, but whenever I have questions or anything like that, we usually go for some tea time, our famous tea time.
Yeah.
And, and I just ask away because I feel like aside from being an insurance agent, you're very knowledgeable in a lot of areas. And so I love to pick your brain, but one thing that has always stuck to me about the way you do business is making sure everyone's doing the right thing. You're getting the right services that you need. So I think something that's important is, is the right insurance coverage, right? Notice how I said the right insurance coverage. So tell us how important it is to have the right insurance coverage on either your car, your house, or your life.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All the compliments and yeah, we try to differentiate ourselves in that. I don't want to talk to you about price.
Yeah, no.
And the main reason is, and coming to your question is when somebody has a problem, when somebody has a claim, when something bad happens,
right?
They never call me and go, "Hey, how much am I paying?"
Yeah.
What do they always say? "Hey, am I covered?"
Exactly.
That's the first thing, right? Yeah. So the importance of it is this: is no matter how hard you work and all the assets you build up, if you don't have the proper coverage, you can lose it like a snap, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why coverage is so important. That's why when you and I sit on a talk, I don't talk to you about price. I'm just going to tell you about the coverages, and the price is what the price is.
Right.
But we're going to talk about them coverages because you work so hard to earn the assets and build the lifestyle you're building. I don't want one bad incident to happen and you lose all that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely important. I've heard disasters, man, like, storm damage and all that on some properties that people never get covered on, or, here in Oklahoma, we get those small little earthquakes and stuff and people aren't covered, and tornadoes and stuff like that. So that's why I figured, man, that this is a very important question. And then the other thing that has really stuck out to me lately, which is life insurance. We've always heard of life insurance, but do we really understand how it works? Can you touch on life insurance a little bit?
Yeah. So I've got just full disclosure here is that I'm very limited in exactly what I can talk about in detail, just because compliance with State Farm on top of regulations, it's a heavily regulated arena, just like banking.
Yes.
But I will share I'll share it from my perspective so I can tell my story, right?
Perfect.
Life insurance does a lot of things. The initial thought with life insurance is just, hey, if I die, this is the best way to transfer wealth to my family. I can make sure they're safe. I can make sure they're taken care of financially. Even after I'm gone, I can still protect and provide for my family through life insurance. But from an investor standpoint, when I say investor, I mean, people listening to this, business owners, real estate investors, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I use my life insurance differently. I use my life insurance to fund my real estate deals. So if you set up your life insurance properly and you utilize it properly, you'll be able to maximize your return of investment on your real estate using building tax-free money that you can access that you'll never pay taxes on. So my last 3 real estate deals, I pulled money from my life insurance and I paid for my real estate. And then I let my real estate cash flow pay back my life insurance. So what I did is ultimately I bought the life insurance. The life insurance bought the real estate. And now I've got 2 assets growing and making me money. It's really unique. There's a variety of plans. There's hundreds of plans. The ones I utilize actually operate very similar to a real estate property. Okay. So, think about like the one I primarily use. Think about like you bought a house, a rental property, a single family dwelling.
Sure.
Put on a 10-year note.
Mm-hmm.
You put 20% down.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't make money those first 10 years. You got mortgage, you got taxes,
Right.
you got insurance, you got repairs, you got missed rent, you got all these things going on.
Of course.
So at the end of the 10 years, you're going to make a little bit of money, but you got to pay taxes, you got depreciation. There's a lot that goes into it. First 10 years, you're really not making a lot of money on that one investment, that one property.
Right.
But after 10 years, the mortgage is paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're making money, right? My life insurance that I use works the same way. I pay on it for 10 years. And as 10 years goes on, it builds equity. But at the end of 10 years, I never pay on it again, but the equity continues to build.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the money I can pull from to fund my projects. So what I do is instead of just spending my money and the bank monies on my real estate,
Mm-hmm.
I funnel it through my life insurance, build that asset up, then go get the real estate and build that asset up. And all I'm really paying for out of my pocket is my life insurance.
Dude, I love that. I love that. And I feel like a lot of people, they look at life insurance as something like, oh, this is just, again, to leave something for my family for the day I'm not here. But a lot of people don't realize that they can access it while you're here.
Absolutely.
And so, that's why when we went to T, that you started explaining that to me, and, I was just like, wait a minute, hold on, say it again. And so I was like, whatever plan that is, put me on it ASAP, let's go. And so ever since that tea time that we had, I've been on that insurance with you guys, and man, it's been great. I mean, I look at it like a savings account really, and something that I can just build on later on. And so, and correct me, you can buy multiple.
So there's so many strategies with this, right? So, we have a mutual friend customer, he was at the tea time with us.
Yes,
So, I'm not sharing anything. I'm not going to name no names. So I'm not sharing anything you don't already know.
Exactly.
He's layered them. He's like, okay, I know that they're done in 10 years as far as paying on them. So every 2 years, I'm buying another one and another one. And so in 10 years, one drops off. In 12 years, another one, the payment's done. Now going back to equating it to real estate, the mortgage is gone, right? And now I'm just collecting money. So I'll give you I just got back yesterday when you text me about coming and doing this, which I'm so appreciative of. I was coming back from not New Jersey, Rhode Island.
Okay.
I was up there for meetings with agents all across the U.S., and I was actually sharing with them one of the projects that I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. So I've got a policy of mine that if the 10 years is up, it's fully funded. I've got, I'll say, a lot of money sitting in there.
Yeah.
Enough money, put it that way. So I pull the money out, okay? I go and I buy a property and I fix it up and I sell it. I flipped it. I made $100,000 on the flip. Mm-hmm. Okay? I made $100,000. So that means I took the money and put it back into my policy. So my policy is still making money.
Right.
That $100,000 extra, I went and bought another one. Well, these policies that I use, you can pay on what's called a pay in advance, meaning you just pay it all up front. You pay it all up front. Okay, so the $100,000 goes into this policy. Well, I can still access 85% of it. So if I need to pull that money back out, so I can pull $80,000 back out and go fund my next project. Meanwhile, now I've got two of my policies making me money, and I'm still funding my real estate, right? So it's called a concept of becoming your own banker conceptually. That's what you're doing. Ultimately, you no longer have to pay the origination fees and all those fees that add up when you're doing, especially a lot like you do so many deals. Mm-hmm. If you're running all that through a bank, it's great to use their money, but look at how much you're spending in fees. It's exactly. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands, right?
Exactly.
You can run all through you and pay yourself back. So it's a concept that unfortunately a lot of people don't know about. They're not taught. They just think, okay, I have to do this. I have to do real estate or this. When really it's best to do in conjunction to protect yourself, number one, but also to give you an asset that you can utilize to help fund everything. It's beautiful. It really is.
Mm-hmm. It really is. So we also mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, that you are also a real estate investor. That's all tied into everything we're talking about. I want to know about your first investment deal. Because I know, that's kind of like a thing. Like we never forget our first investment deal. So, man, tell me, what was your first investment deal?
Yeah. So shout out to my longtime girlfriend Sandy, who basically forced me to take that step. You talk about it, but you hadn't pulled the trigger.
Exactly.
And there was a guy in a local town that I know that he just reached out and he's like, hey, I'm gonna sell this house for $7,500. I want you to think about what a $7,500 house looks like, right?
Party boarded up, no roof.
Yeah, the kitchen you can see all the way to the ground. Like it was
like someone didn't have the right insurance on that house.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So she's like, hey, now's the time. Pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You know, you're 7,500 in. You really can't lose much money, right? So yeah, the first one I ever did is honestly my best one that I ever did too, and it was by pure luck. I bought that $7,500. I put, I want to say a total of 30,000 into it. I was less than 37 total into this once I bought it and I remodeled it. I mean, it rents for $800 a month.
You still have it?
Still got it. Yeah. That's my most profitable house. It's 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Like I said, I owe like at this point like $8,000 on it.
Oh man, pay off itself.
Yeah. And that thing's it's making me $800 a month.
I love that.
Yeah. So
you know, I'll say we're obviously a closing company, a title company. So so you put the house under contract, right? Tell me what happened. You wake up that day. Well, that's closing day, right? Closing day is such a thing, right? So you wake up closing day and you're like, oh my God, I'm actually going to close on my first investment property. So you go to the closing company. What are you feeling at the closing company?
Man, beyond nervous. I mean, for a lot of reasons, right? You know, I this is my first property. I know it's in really bad condition, questionable neighborhood even. You know, there's a lot to that. But then I go to the closing table and it's document. And, you know, these people are coming in and it's almost overwhelming, especially on your first deal, right?
Yeah.
Now, you know, you've done this a long time.
Yeah.
You understand. But that very first deal, just anxiety was through the roof, man. I was excited to get it done. I was excited to get going. I had all these visions in my brain of what this was going to look like, right?
Right.
But when you're going through that process on that day, man, nerves are really, really high.
So, you know, one thing for me is I remember, all, like you said, all those documents, right?
Oh, yeah.
All those documents. If you're buying the house cash, it's not that many documents. But when it's a loan and you see all these documents, I mean, it can get a little scary, you know, especially if it's your first rodeo. What do you feel at that moment? Did anything make your process easy? Or did anything at that moment at the closing table, anything make you feel relaxed at any point?
So, you know, not talking about today, now that I've done multiple, right?
Yeah.
But just talking about that first one, knowing what I know now versus knowing what I know now versus what I went through on that first one, I would tell you the answer to that question would be your closer. That person that sat down at the table. My first one, I used a company that I wasn't familiar with.
Okay.
I was just kind of like the realtor that we went through was like, hey, you know, this is who we use, so you use it because you just don't know, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody in the title business at that time, and when you go in, they're just like, hey, sign here, sign here, sign here, sign here, and that's it. And when you get done, you're like, what did I just sign?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So to answer your question, it would be the closer. That person, if you have a professional sitting there, which now I do, right? Now I have my preferred guys, right? Empire, right?
Right.
Is that when you sit down and they're explaining everything to you, then you walk away feeling comfort, like, okay, I'm okay, right? Everything's fine. I understand what's going on. I understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That person is what makes it different.
Right. Yeah. I mean, definitely explaining what you're signing and you know, and also put on a smile, right? They put on that smile, like relax, like that gives you that relaxed feeling. I know when I first closed, you know, at the title company, actually my wife was not my closer on my first deal. And, you know, but my closer, you know, who actually is a good friend of mine, man, she just made it seem so like, don't worry, it's going to be okay. She even said she was proud of me. And so I was like, oh man, I'm definitely doing the right thing. You know what I mean? And so after you close your first deal, you know, and you sign everything, you get in your car and you drive away. Did you get that feeling like, what did I just do?
Oh, yeah.
What did I get myself into?
You almost get the buyer's remorse. You're like, oh man, but I'm here now, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty normal. It's a natural emotion, right? But yeah, when you just drove off, you're thinking, I own a home that I know nothing about. This ain't a home I'm going to live in that normally I would buy and is in good repair. And, you know, you just got to move in and paint a little bit. This is a project. And then I got to lease this to someone. And, you know, you hear these horror stories about how bad things are. And you hear all this stuff and it's really intimidating. So yeah, that drive home, that was on my mind the whole time. Is like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah. So you, after you got your first deal done and you saw the income coming in and
Mm-hmm.
you know how it was paying itself off, you got the itch to buy more.
Oh yeah. When I got past all the horror stories that you hear about, right? Like, oh, the tenants are going to do this, they're going to do that. Knock on wood, I've been doing this now since 20. I think my first deal I closed in 20, either 17 or 18, but I'm pretty sure it's 18. And I've never had any of these situations where other people talk about like, oh, they ransacked the place, they tore it up, that they did all these things. Man, what I've learned is and this is my style, right? Everybody, when you invest, when you have a real estate, you should have a plan and a purpose, right?
Sure.
So my bigger purpose is my hometown. I want to get some of those dilapidated houses and make them nice. That's my way of giving back to the community,
I
right?
like that.
I provided that house. I put like granite countertops in. I did things, and the guy that sold it to me is like, dude, you're an idiot. Why are you doing this? Like, they're just going to tear it up. Like, he was literally telling me this. To this day, I've never had a problem with it. I think cash flows makes me a ton of money. But more importantly to me is my community. On that block, there's no more bad houses, right?
You started a trend.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I'm seeing more and more other investors starting to invest a little bit more into their houses, make them a little bit nicer. And when you do that, people have more of an appreciation for the home too. So they treat it with a little more respect.
That's right.
That's been my experience anyhow. And yeah, that's kind of my model.
Yeah, my mentor in real estate from the beginning has always told me, provide people what they're not used to.
That's it.
And then also, like you said, they were like, why are you putting granite countertops? Why are you doing new cabinets and making it look super nice? You're starting a trend, number one. And now look all the houses around that house you did.
Absolutely.
Right. And number two, you're creating your own market, right? So now your hometown that was probably used to seeing renovated houses go for 60,000. Now they're probably at 100 to 120 because now you started a trend of granite countertops, hardwood floors, tiled bathrooms, like things that you would see in a better neighborhood, a B neighborhood or an A neighborhood. You're delivering to a C minus neighborhood, and so that is when you truly create your market.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that I always look at is that's my brand. People know my houses, right? And they know the other people's house too because they're like, oh, such and such, yeah, he's a slumlord, right? Like, you don't want his houses.
Right.
But when mine come available, I don't have any problems getting them rented. As soon as I put on the market, I have a house available. I've got 20 plus applicants every single time because they want my houses. And even the other investors, even the other people in real estate, they know we have different models and they'll say, hey, you want a nicer home, you need to call Marvin, right? So that becomes my brand. But then what I started noticing too is the neighbor across the street fixed up his house. The neighbor next door, whose house was really rough, fixed up his house. It started bringing some pride to the neighborhood. Now, these aren't $1 million homes, but like you said, you go from a D plus, C minus neighborhood to now you got a C plus, B minus, lower income kind of neighborhood, but in really good condition.
Right.
So your impact just becomes greater than, simply being an investor.
Right.
And I'll add to that too, is when you do make your homes nicer, this ain't a real estate class podcast, right? But your home's worth more. So I'll give you my second deal that I did. I'll just give you some numbers because this just happened maybe a month and a half ago.
Okay.
I bought the second home I paid $9,500 for from the same guy.
Nice.
And it appraised for $127,000 a month and a half ago.
Man,
think
you're
about that.
Sitting on cash.
Yeah, think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it pays to do that because we're counting on our real estate to appreciate. Well, when you got a nicer home appreciating, it appreciates at a much higher value.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, man. So Marvin, I'm sure a lot of our viewers right now are probably blown away by some of the insurance tips that you've given us during this podcast. So if they want to contact you, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so it's always easy to reach our office, 918-995-2552. I'll give my cell, I always give my cell out because emergencies don't always happen Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right? So my personal cell, same one my daughter calls me on, 918-576-4499. You can go to our website. It's just marvinmanns.com.
Okay.
Any of those phone numbers you can call, you can text. You can email me, marvin@marvinmanns.com. I'm MANNS. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll put all that information in the comments below. That way, if you guys need to talk to Marvin or schedule some type of meeting or anything like that, consultation about what the people should do with their insurance needs, you'll be able to reach Marvin at any time.
I appreciate that.
So Marvin, I have one question for you though. Who's the title company they told you to go and see?
Oh, Empire, baby, all day. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Marvin, since day one, you've been great with Empire. You've been a supporter, and I just want to, publicly tell you thank you, and for always supporting me and my wife and having the best interest for my family.
Yeah, vice versa. And I'll tell you, you mentioned earlier about your wife not being your closer in the beginning.
Yeah.
Your wife's been my closer for a very long time.
Yeah.
Right. And she's what made my process better, man. So I owe you guys. I appreciate all the love, all the support that y'all provide.
Yeah.
Using our office, my agency.
Yep.
So, man, nothing but love.
All right, man. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you for coming on the show and taking your time out of your day, your busy day, to come over here and sit down and have a talk with Empire.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a blessed day. See ya.